Dream Team Small Stories 100 IQ Moments by Flattened Wine. Hands. Dream X George Smut. 6:21 a.m. Dream's room. George's POV. I walked in first to his room, with Dream following in, making little to no sound. I stiffened up more as I hear the slight click from the door being locked behind us. I turned around only to be pushed slightly by Dream, backing me up towards his bed. I slid down on his silk sheets, and I look up at him. It was a little odd. He still doesn't take his mask off, even in moments like these. I watched him take off his shirt, revealing his soft but toned skin. He then leans down and grabs at my wrists and hoists my shirt up and off me, while placing his knee in between my legs, causing me to moan out a little. He huffs in delight while just looking down at me, a smirk planted across his face. I looked down at the bed embarrassed, knowing he was admiring my body already. He then pushed me up a little more on the bed, with my legs still dangling off, and knees were planted down on the ground. "I'm gonna go slow. Let me know if you want me to stop, okay, George?" he says while tugging at my shorts. I mouth out, "Okay," even though nothing came out. I was just patiently waiting for him to make his next move. His moves like 1000 strats, IG Minecraft. He steadily scoots out my shorts off and stops to look at me from below, looking into my eyes softly. This was definitely an epic poggers moment. His hands move to my legs and he caresses my inner thighs, earning a small gamer whine from me. His hands run up towards my boxers and he presses on my gaming member lightly, brushing his fingers against the shaft teasingly. I grind against his hand and he pulls his hand back, causing me to whimper. "You have to be a good boy and wait for me. I promise you'll get what you want," Dream purred in his epic gamer voice, and I slowed down. He hums in response and places his hand back on and strokes it lightly through the boxers. Bit by bit, he starts to inch off my Minecraft boxers, causing my cock to spring out. He perks up a little, noticing the gamer fluid already rising from the tip of the head. One of his hands grabs at my wrist and brings me in closer, while the other one lightly grabs the head of my joystick. Dream hums happily as he focuses his eyes on me, listening to me hold back moans when I throw my head back and cover my mouth. But his other hand moves it out of the way so he could hear my gamer moans. He then takes the tip into his mouth, swirling his tongue around the head eagerly. I watched as his mouth opens more, and he starts to bob his head up and down, stopping back up at the tip to hum, sending a pleasurable buzzing feeling up my body. Looks like Dream wasn't going to just speedrun Minecraft, but also speedrun this blowjob. Without hesitation, he takes his hands off and goes down to deep throat my gamer joystick, slightly choking on me. I moan out loud, drool slipping from the sides of my mouth as I look down at him. He bobs up and down faster, keeping his eyes locked onto me as I reach the back of his throat, reaching me closer and closer to my climax. Out of instinct, I reach over and grab a fistful of his messy blonde hair as if it was a controller, Dream closes his eyes and moans out loud, but it was muffled, making me not only blush deep red, but it was also sending deep vibrations buzzing down my dick, causing me to finally ejaculate my gamer fluid all over Dream. Poggers! I managed to breathe out, with him easily taking it all. He goes down once again before coming back up to get air, making sure to tickle my balls as if he was playing Minecraft on a keyboard. Looking up at me with his face red and an embarrassed look, I look back at him confused until I look down, noticing he also had his pants down and had been jerking himself off the entire time. He hadn't even finished. I felt my face go red as I sat more on the bed, us making shy eye contact with each other. Dream didn't know what was going to happen next, and neither did I. He gets up from off the ground, and still with his pants down and throbbing cock twitching as I looked at it. "Do you want to go any further?" Dream asked while pulling his hoodie down shyly, with his big pink joystick coming out from his in between his thighs, sticking out. It's not like I wasn't ready for it. I was already clean since I took a shower earlier and made sure to MLG gamer douche my asshole. "I don't mind. Are you shy?" I assumed, seeing that he was just awkwardly standing there. I then feel an immense weight on my body as I get pushed down on the sheets. Looking up, I could see Dream looking down like he was going to devour me whole. "I was just waiting for you to let me do what I want," he spoke out, taking off his hoodie and tossing it on the floor. He wasn't talking about his flesh hoodie on his pink joystick. He was already starting to push himself between my legs, placing both of his hands down beside my head once again. I look down to the side, but he just takes his fingers and makes me look at him. "Are you shy?" he asked in a cocky tone, the tone of someone who has held the world record for fastest Minecraft speed run. God, that made me horny. Before I got to respond, he goes to attack my neck, sucking down on random sensitive spots, trying to find my sweet spot, almost as if he was chain mining for diamonds, except the diamonds were my orgasms. He gets closer to my collarbone and slowly traces it with his tongue, earning a loud moan when he nibbles down on the spot. He was so skilled with his tongue, I was almost sure he could probably play Minecraft with it. I squirm awkwardly under him, my knees buckling under to add friction to the arousal that is igniting between my legs once again. He ignores it as he sucks my back onto my skin, leaving a love bite trail around my chest and down my body. He made sure that the traces of the hickeys made a little Pepe the Frog. Haha, memes. Even with his more aggressive and dominant manner, he still makes sure I'm alright. He pulls away from the kiss and gives me a warm smile and ruffles my hair. What a gamer cutie. He goes back down towards my hips and sits upright, positioned ready between me. He leans over to his table drawer and rummages through it before pulling out a small bottle. I didn't have to read it to know what he was doing. It was obvious his gamer lube that he always kept in his compartment. It smelled like Mountain Dew, and it was just as sticky, and I just laid there in silence. He would periodically look up at me to make sure this is something I'd want, then he would continue. He applied lube, the Mountain Dew lube, onto his fingers and slowly brought his middle fingers towards my epic poggers gamer hole and stopped. Did you clean yourself?" Dream looked up at me with an awkward but needing expression. Yeah, I happened to clean myself 'cause I was going to." My voice trailed off. as it was already implied that I would probably use my epic Shrek dragon dildo to pleasure myself later. He entered a finger inside and started to leisurely slide back and forth with it, causing me to squirm more and cover my face. Yeah, I've done it myself, but by another person, and by Dream, the master of Minecraft speedrunners of all people. My thoughts were silenced as he started to pump his fingers farther into me. I let out groans of pleasure, with a hum of satisfaction coming from Dream. His other hand hovers onto my dick once again and starts to slowly stroke it. As he inserts another finger inside, me, George, is almost brought to my next orgasm when Dream takes his fingers out and walks away. This was almost, if not better, than the Minecraft porn that I jerked off to on the regular. I sit up in sadness from the denial, but also confusion. Dream comes back, wiping his hands off. How to wash my hands. Gotta keep them clean, you know, for the keyboard. He grinned, and I laughed. Oh, but I'm not done yet, Dream stated while staring me down. Lay back down, why don't you? I'm gonna love you the Florida way. The words shot through my heart and I felt my stomach flutter once again. Dream comes back over and pulled my legs up over his shoulders, watching me stare at him intensely. Third person POV. Dream looks back down at George, admiring him once again like a new trophy, seeing the drool from George's mouth and the bite marks all over his heated body. Dream starts to whisper sweet nothings and reassuring words as he pours lube onto his cock. The Mountain Dew MLG Gamer lube, of course. And back onto George's entrance. He leans back down towards the smaller male and kisses him lightly while pushing himself into him carefully, sliding his long pink joystick into George's puckering anus. George cries out and wraps his arms around him, with Dream caressing and pressing light circles into George's sides. He then holds George's hips in place as he situates himself inside of George, with also making sure that he was okay with himself. With the few moments of waiting and through confirmation of George, Dream starts to slowly pump himself, applying more lube when he needed. Dream, George moaned loudly. You have the cheat code to my pleasure. Dream ends up extremely flustered and buries his face into the crook of George's neck, fucking him faster with his rhythms getting sloppy. Dream kisses his neck and trails up to his face, planting kisses across his jaw and on his lips. George cries out in pleasure as Dream starts to hit his spot over and over again, then being silenced by the feeling of Dream's thumb in his mouth, one holding his mouth open while the other presses down on his tongue to keep him from making such a loud noise. Dream continues to sloppily pound into George, his pleasured screams being halted by the faint press of his tongue. Dream's aggressive pounds caused his mask to slowly slip down and off the side of his face, revealing his flustered face, small stubble, and very beautiful green-brown eyes. In the corner, there was AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as Dream asked her to record their sexual escapades in order to stream on Twitch. After all, AOC was best friends with Dream, and seeing Dream fuck the shit out of George made AOC horny, and she rubbed her gamer politician clit while she continued to live stream George getting fucked by Dream. George, out from his gargling, the drool pouring out of his mouth, looked up at Dream's face. Dream, you're... but was met with Dream's face even closer than before. Are you surprised, Georgie? Dream says aloud, expecting George to just all out lose his shit and be a flustered mess into orgasm for the third time while AOC live streamed. But instead, George cups his face and pulls him closer. I think you're super dreamy, Clay. George mutters and plants a small kiss on his face. Dream looks down at him with a surprised look, that slightly concerned George. Dream? Silence. Uncalled for, Dream wraps his hands around George's body once again and brings him in close, kissing his body all over and humming happily while he proceeds to just violently ram himself into George while AOC rubbed her clit, as it was all being live streamed on Twitch. The smaller male screams out in pain while they continue to get more donations from fangirls, but immense pleasure as he brought closer and closer to his breaking point. George digs his hands into Dream's back and leaves red marks all over as he tips over. Shortly after, Dream's finished inside onto his stomach, panting loudly. Dream kisses George's forehead before rolling off next to him, holding each other's hands as they both lay in bliss, eventually getting tired. They can both sleep in for the day. Before drifting to sleep, George turns over to Dream. "I should have addressed something in the beginning, but George says before being pulled into a small hug by Dream. "George, I'm so sorry. I was so excited and needy. I also should have told you that I love you and that I really want to be something more with you." George pulls away, smiling with tears at the brim of his eyes. He runs his fingers through Dream's hair and gives him another kiss. "Dreams, thank you. I was really excited and I wanted to confess my feelings for you too. I love you, Dream." All the Twitch gamer girls exasperatedly screamed on their sides of the screens, and AOC cried tears of emotional joy as she finally climaxed from rubbing her clit while streaming the sexual escapade. After all, this was truly an epic Poggers gaming MLG Mountain Dew moment. The end.